Chapter 1. Vanishing Point. Miles Baxter stood in the sterile conference room of the Phoenix FBI field office, his calloused hands flat against the table, knuckles white. 48 hours since Summer disappeared. 48 hours of dead ends. Mr. Baxter, we're doing everything we can, Special Agent Marcia Roberts said, her voice practiced in sympathy. Files spread before her, witness statements, security footage, phone records. All of it useless. Miles was 52, broad-shouldered from 3 decades of manual labor, first in combat engineering, then running Baxter Construction. His face was weathered, scarred from an IED in Kandahar, but his gray eyes remained sharp. Everything isn't enough. Summer had vanished from Arizona State University's campus Friday night. Last seen leaving the library at 9:47 p.m. Her roommate, Autumn Gray, reported her missing when she didn't return by morning. No signs of struggle. No witnesses. Campus security footage showed her getting into a black SUV near the east parking structure. Willingly, it seemed. The SUV was stolen 2 days prior, Roberts continued. Plates were switched. We found it abandoned in Tempe, wiped clean. Professional, Miles said flatly. We're exploring that angle. Miles turned to Autumn, who sat hunched in a chair, mascara-stained tears on her cheeks. Tell me again about the man. The girl's voice trembled. He came to our dorm Thursday. Said he was from a modeling agency, showed credentials. Told Summer she had the look they wanted. She laughed it off, but he was persistent. Left his card. You still have it. I gave it to the FBI. It was fake. The agency doesn't exist. Miles felt the familiar coldness settling over him. The same detachment that got him through 12 years in Special Forces. Emotion was the enemy. Focus was survival. Physical description? Tall, maybe 6'2". 40s. Expensive suit. He had this smile. Confident. Like he was used to getting what he wanted. Roberts interjected. We've got facial recognition running, but nothing. Miles pushed away from the table. I want copies of everything. Every file. Every interview. Every frame of footage. Mr. Baxter, we can't. Yes, you can. He leaned forward, voice dropping. My daughter is out there. Your bureaucracy moves at the speed of paperwork. I move faster. Roberts exchanged glances with her partner. Finally, she nodded. Unofficially, Miles sat in his truck outside the FBI building, files on the passenger seat, his phone pressed to his ear. The number he dialed hadn't been used in 5 years. This is a surprise, Roman Hunter's gravelly voice answered. Thought you went full civilian. I need the team. All of them. Silence stretched. Roman had been his second-in-command in the 75th Ranger Regiment, then together in a classified task force that didn't officially exist. They'd gone through hell in places that didn't make the news. When Miles left to be a present father after the divorce, Roman had gone private. Military contracting, protection details, the gray areas. What's the situation? Summer's gone. Professional snatch. FBI's got nothing. Jesus. When? Friday. I'm calling in every marker we have. I need access to resources the Bureau won't touch. Say the word. Get Calvin and Brent. 72 hours, my place. And Roman? Bring the toys. The line went dead. Miles started the engine, his mind already compartmentalizing. Find the connection. Follow the money. Someone wanted college girls, plural, if this was professional. Someone with resources. Someone who thought they were untouchable. His phone buzzed. Roberts. Received 911 call from another university in New Mexico. Girl matching Summer's description seen getting into black SUV. Same memo going dark. We'll update. Miles pulled up Summer's photo on his phone. Her high school graduation, bright smile, whole life ahead. She wanted to be a marine biologist, spent weekends volunteering at the aquarium. She called him every Sunday. They had plans for Christmas in Sedona. He'd promised her mother, Naomi, when they divorced that he'd always protect Summer. He'd failed. Not anymore. He opened his laptop, booting up software he'd sworn he wouldn't use again. DARPA-developed tracking algorithms, proprietary databases from his contractor days. He plugged in the SUV's description, the timeline, the fake modeling agency. 3 hours later, a pattern emerged. 7 girls in 4 months. Same profile, college age, athletic, no close family nearby. Same method. Fake job offers, professional abductions, vehicles wiped clean. 7 girls. 0 found. Miles made another call. This one to a man who existed only as a username on encrypted forums. Twan Whitehead speaking. The voice was young, irreverent. It's Baxter. I need you to look somewhere the FBI won't. How dark are we going? Miles stared at Summer's photo. Pitch black. Chapter 2. The Hunt. Twan Whitehead arrived at Miles's ranch house outside Scottsdale at midnight, carrying 3 laptops and paranoia. He was 28, rail-thin, with the pallor of someone who lived by monitor light. He'd been signals intelligence in the Army, dishonorably discharged for hacking Pentagon servers to prove a point. Now he sold his skills to the highest bidder. Your place isn't secured, Twan said, scanning for listening devices. It's about to be. Miles gestured to the basement. He'd converted it into a makeshift operations center, military surplus equipment, encrypted communications, maps of the Southwest. Roman arrived an hour later with Calvin Landry and Brent Cabrera. The team. Roman was pushing 50, built like a linebacker, with a graying beard and eyes that missed nothing. Calvin was the youngest at 36, a sniper with preternatural patience. Brent, 42, was their demolitions expert and the most easygoing, until someone crossed him. They gathered around the table, and Miles briefed them. No emotion, just facts. 7 girls missing. Same pattern. FBI's chasing ghosts. We're going deeper. Twan pulled up his laptops. I've been crawling the dark web for the last 6 hours. Started with human trafficking sites, smuggling forums, anything that might connect. He paused. Found something worse. The screen filled with encrypted code. Twan's fingers flew across keys, peeling back layers. There's a site, invitation only, accessed through Tor. Took me 4 hours to crack one layer. It's called The Hunt. Elaborate, Roman said. It's exactly what it sounds like. Twan pulled up cache screenshots. High-value targets, that's what they call the girls, are hunted on a private island. Participants pay millions for the privilege. It's live-streamed to subscribers. Miles felt his blood turn to ice. You're saying this is entertainment. For the 1% of the 1%. Twan pulled up financial traces. Bitcoin transactions, millions in escrow. The site's been active for 18 months. They've run 12 events. 12 girls. Survivors? Calvin asked quietly. None verified. The site promises authentic experiences. Read into that what you will. Miles forced himself to breathe. Can you access the live stream? I can try. Next event scheduled for. Twan checked his screen. 72 hours. Island location unknown, but based on satellite imagery patterns I've been tracking, somewhere in the Caribbean. Private, unregistered. Get me in, Miles said. It's subscriber only. 20 grand in Bitcoin per stream. Do it. Roman put a hand on Miles's shoulder. Brother, we need to think. I am thinking. Summer's been missing 4 days. If she's part of this. He couldn't finish the sentence. Brent spoke up. If we can see the stream, we can analyze it. Geography, architecture, ambient sound. Narrow the location. Exactly. Miles turned to Twan. We have 72 hours to find this island, plan an assault, and extract however many girls are there. Just the 4 of us. Calvin raised an eyebrow. We've done more with less in Mosul. That was different. We had air support, intel, authorization. And now we have motivation. Miles's voice was steel. My daughter is on that island. We're getting her back. Anyone not on board, leave now. No one moved. 60 hours later, Twan broke through. I'm in. Stream goes live in 2 hours. They gathered around the monitors. Miles's hands clenched as the timer counted down. The feed activated, nighttime, jungle setting, infrared cameras. A voice, distorted but cultured, addressed the audience. Gentlemen, welcome to Hunt 13. Tonight, we have a special treat. 13 participants, 7 guests. The prize, bragging rights, and a trophy unlike any other. The camera panned across men in tactical gear, carrying crossbows, compound bows, hunting rifles. Wealthy, middle-aged, grinning like predators. The host's voice continued. Our guest of honor tonight, fresh acquisition, untested. Give our hunters a challenge, won't you, darling? The camera shifted. Miles's world stopped. Summer. She stood in a clearing, hands bound, wearing torn clothing. Blood on her cheek. But her eyes, terrified yet defiant. She was alive. A man stepped into frame, silver-haired, 50s, designer hunting jacket. He held a crossbow. Run faster, sweetheart, he said, smiling. Make it interesting. The The host's voice. That's Richard Cross, pharmaceutical magnate, making his third appearance. Let's see if he improves his record. Summer ran. Miles couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only watch as his daughter fled through the jungle, hunters pursuing, the chat scrolling with bets and commentary. Roman's voice cut through. We'll find her. Tuan, analyze everything. Background, sounds, vegetation, star positions. I want that island. On it. Miles watched Summer dodge through undergrowth, the hunters closing in. She was smart, using the terrain, staying low. But they had experience. Technology. Numbers. A crossbow bolt thudded into a tree inches from her head. 12 girls died before her, Miles whispered, repeating the stream's earlier statistic. Not 13. He pulled out his phone, dialing a number he'd sworn never to use again. It connected to a shell company in Panama, which rerouted to a private military contractor in Dubai. This is Baxter. Authorization code Delta 79er. I need a tactical team, full loadout, and an off-books transport. Destination to follow. Time frame, immediate. Cost, the voice asked. Whatever it takes. Bill it to my construction company. He'd liquidate everything if necessary. Summer wasn't dying on that island. Tuan shouted, got it. Cross-referencing vegetation with satellite imagery. Ocean sounds indicate Caribbean, star positions put us. St. Lucia region. Private island. 200 acres, registered to a shell corporation owned by, he scrolled through layers. Owned by Richard Cross himself. Miles smiled without humor. How convenient. There's more. Cross doesn't just participate. He owns the whole operation. The site, the island, everything. He's been running this for 18 months. Roman pulled up satellite imagery. Island's got a mansion, helipads, private docks. Security will be extensive. We'll need an approach vector that avoids radar, Brent said. Calvin studied the topography. Jungle's dense. Perfect for infiltration. Miles watched the stream. Summer had climbed a tree, hiding in the canopy while hunters passed below. Smart girl. Buying time. We have maybe 6 hours before they find her, Miles calculated. How fast can we get there? Roman made a call. I've got a contact with a Gulfstream in Fort Lauderdale. Can have us airborne in 90 minutes. From there, we'll need a boat. I know a guy in Martinique, Brent said. Smuggler. Owes me. Gear. Calvin asked. The contractor's meeting us in Florida, Miles said. Suppressed weapons, night vision, explosives. Everything we need. Tuan looked up from his screens. You know this is suicide, right? Cross has security, infrastructure, probably mercenaries. You're 4 guys. 4 very motivated guys, Roman corrected. Miles never took his eyes off the screen. Summer was moving again, heading toward what looked like a cliff edge. The hunters were closing in. Tuan, you're staying here. Keep monitoring the stream, guide us via satellite. We'll need real-time intel. Copy that. Miles stood, the team following. 72 hours ago, my daughter was studying for finals. Now she's being hunted for sport by billionaires who think they're above consequences. He met each man's eyes. We're going to teach them differently. Gear up. We leave in 60 minutes. As they prepped, Miles called Naomi. She answered on the first ring. Did they find her? Not yet. But I did. Miles, what? I can't explain. But I'm bringing her home. I promise. Please be careful. Always am. He hung up, loaded his weapons, and prepared to become someone he'd left behind years ago. The hunters on that island thought they were apex predators. They were about to meet one. Chapter 3. Infiltration. The Gulfstream touched down in Fort Lauderdale at 0300 hours. Miles hadn't slept. The live stream continued on his phone. Summer was still alive, still evading. She'd found a cave system, bought herself hours. But dawn was coming. The contractor met them on the tarmac. Lloyd Cortez, former Delta, now freelance. He didn't ask questions, just delivered 4 duffel bags of equipment. Suppressed Mk-18s, night vision, tactical gear, C4, deck cord, and some party favors, Lloyd said. The special request you made. I threw in white phosphorus and thermite. You planning a war? Ending one, Miles replied, checking the weapons. Clean, recent manufacture, untraceable. Payment cleared. Good hunting. They flew south. Roman plotted their approach while Calvin cleaned weapons with meditative focus. Brent studied the island's structural vulnerabilities. Miles watched the stream. Richard Cross had joined the hunt personally now, leading a pack of 6 hunters. They'd found Summer's cave and were smoking her out with tear gas. She emerged coughing, running again. A bolt grazed her shoulder. She screamed, but kept moving. Miles's jaw clenched. Tuan's voice crackled through comms. I've accessed the island's security network. 12 guards, military-grade surveillance, motion sensors on all approaches. But there's a blind spot on the northeast shore, rocky coastline. No dock, not considered viable. That's our entry, Roman confirmed. They landed in Martinique at dawn. Brent's contact, a French smuggler named Rosendo Flowers, had a 30-foot fishing trawler ready. You didn't tell me you were invading a billionaire's private island, Rosendo said, grinning. I'd have charged double. Bill me later, Miles said. Can this thing make it undetected? She's old, but her engine's quiet. I'll get you within a mile. After that, you swim. They loaded gear, waterproofing weapons and equipment. The island was 3 hours away. On screen, Summer had reached the beach. Nowhere left to run. The hunters were closing in, savoring the moment. Cross's voice carried over the stream. End of the line, sweetheart. You put up a good chase. Better than most. Summer turned, backed against the ocean. My father will find you. Cross laughed. Doubtful, but I admire the spirit. Miles's hands shook with rage. Roman steadied him. We're 2 hours out. She's staying alive. Focus on that. The boat cut through Caribbean waters. Miles armed himself. 18 Malawian Quach's rifle, Glock 19, tactical knife. Enough ammunition for a small war. He wasn't taking prisoners. Tuan's voice, update. Summer's been captured. They're taking her back to the mansion. You've got a window. Cross is holding a celebration dinner for his guests. All the hunters, security concentrated around the main building. Cells are in the basement. 3 other girls still alive down there. 3. Calvin's voice was tight. Kelly Pollard, Naomi Morrison, Autumn Gray. Miles froze. Autumn Gray. Summer's roommate. Yeah. She was taken 2 weeks ago. The FBI doesn't know. The pieces clicked. The man at the dorm hadn't been recruiting Summer. He'd been taking Autumn, and Summer saw him. They grabbed her too. How many total people on the island? Roman asked. Cross, 6 guests, 12 security, plus household staff, maybe 30 total. But the guests are the real problem. I've ID'd them. Keith Montgomery, steel magnate. Donald McIntyre, tech billionaire. Bruce Merritt, hedge fund manager. All worth billions. All untouchable. Not anymore, Miles said. They reached the coordinates at 2,100 hours. The island rose from dark water, lights blazing from the mansion on the hill. Miles and the team geared up, checking seals on waterproof bags. Rosendo extended a hand. Whatever you're doing, give them hell. Count on it. They slipped into the water, swimming toward the rocky shore. The ocean was calm, stars bright overhead. Miles thought of Summer in that basement, terrified but alive. He thought of the 12 girls who'd died before her. 12 families destroyed. No more. They reached shore, moving through jungle with practiced silence. Night vision turned the world green. Tuan guided them via satellite. Security patrol, 3 o'clock, 50 meters. They froze. 2 guards passed, armed with AR-15s, casual conversation. Sloppy. They weren't expecting trouble. Calvin's suppressed rifle coughed twice. Both guards dropped. Bodies hidden, Calvin reported. Continuing. They moved through the security perimeter like ghosts, neutralizing guards methodically. No alarms. No alerts. Roman planted C4 on the generator building. Brent rigged the dock with explosives. When they left, they'd ensure no one else did. The mansion loomed ahead, 3 stories of obscene wealth built on suffering. Through windows, Miles saw them. Cross and his guests, drinking champagne, laughing, celebrating. Basement access. Miles whispered. Service entrance, east side, Tuan replied. 2 guards. They approached. Miles signaled. Calvin and Brent took position. Roman covered. Miles moved close, appearing from shadow. The guards reacted too late. Miles's knife found the first throat. Roman dropped the second with a suppressed shot. They dragged bodies into bushes. Inside, stairs leading down. Stone walls, medieval design. Cross had built his mansion for this. A playhouse for monsters. They descended. For cells. 3 occupied. Summer looked up as they entered, disbelief crossing her face. Dad. Miles cut through her restraints, pulling her into a fierce hug. I've got you. Autumn. Kelly, Naomi. They're here too. I know. We're getting everyone out. The other girls huddled together, traumatized but alive. Roman freed them while Calvin cleared the corridor. Can you move? Miles asked Summer. Yes. Dad, they're going to kill us if we don't escape tonight. The hunt was just foreplay. Cross murders them all afterward. Not tonight. Miles handed her a Glock. You know how to use this? She nodded, hands steady despite everything. His daughter. His warrior. Brent spoke through comms. We've got a problem. Security's doing a check. Found the bodies. Alarms going up. So much for stealth. Plan B, Miles said. We're going loud. Tuan, you still have access to their comms. Yeah. Pipe this through their system. Miles keyed his radio. Richard Cross. My name is Miles Baxter. You hunted my daughter. Now I'm hunting you. Every exit is rigged to explode. Every guard you send dies. You wanted a hunt? Congratulations. You're the prey now. Through the mansion walls, he heard shouting, panic. Roman grinned. Subtle. We're past subtle. Get the girls to the boat. I'm finishing this. Miles. That's an order, Roman. Extract them. I'll cover your exit. Summer grabbed his arm. Dad, no. We go together. I'll be right behind you. But those men upstairs? They die tonight. All of them. He saw the conflict in her eyes. Finally, she nodded. You better come back. Always do. Roman led them out through the service tunnel. Miles headed upstairs, toward the sounds of frightened billionaires realizing their money couldn't save them. The hunters had become the hunted. And Miles Baxter was just getting started. Chapter 4, The Monster's Lair. Miles moved through the mansion's corridors like death incarnate. The opulent hallways, marble floors, priceless art, chandeliers worth more than most houses, were monuments to wealth built on suffering. He'd seen the guest list. Each man upstairs had paid $4 million for the privilege of hunting a human being. They'd never pay anything again. Suppressed gunfire echoed from the east wing. Security converging. Miles triggered the C4 on the generator. The explosion shook the building, plunging everything into darkness. Emergency lights flickered on, casting red shadows. He heard Tuan through comms. Security's trying to evacuate the guests via helicopter. Roman's team is clear, heading to the boat with all 4 girls. Copy. How many guards left? 8, plus the 6 guests. Cross is barricaded in his study with 3 guards. Miles moved toward the main hall where panicked voices echoed. 2 guards rushed past his position. He dropped them with controlled bursts. Their bodies hadn't hit the ground before he was moving again. The guests had gathered in a fortified sitting room, guards positioned at entrances. Through the doorway, Miles saw them. Keith Montgomery, arms folded, trying to maintain composure. Donald McIntyre, on his phone, probably calling lawyers. Bruce Merritt, pacing like a caged animal. 3 others whose names Miles hadn't bothered learning. They'd die the same regardless. A guard spotted him. Contact. Miles rolled behind a marble pillar as bullets chewed into stone. He came up firing, 2 guards down. The others fell back, protecting their employers. Miles pulled a flashbang from his vest, tossed it through the door. The blast disoriented everyone. He went through the door, rifle up. 2 guards swung toward him. He dropped them both. The remaining guard threw down his weapon, hands up. Please, man, I've got kids. So did they. Miles gestured to the billionaires cowering behind furniture. You chose your side. Run. The guard ran. Miles led him. His business wasn't with hired help. Keith Montgomery stood, trying to salvage dignity. Do you have any idea who we are? The legal consequences. I know exactly who you are. Miles's voice was ice. Keith Montgomery. $3 billion from Steele. 2 ex-wives. You've participated in 5 hunts. 3 girls died by your hand. Julia Reeves, 22. Sandra Mitchell, 20. Lena Foster, 19. Montgomery's face drained of color. How do you? I did my homework. Just like you did yours when selecting victims. Miles's rifle didn't waver. Donald McIntyre. Tech billionaire. You developed the streaming platform. Made millions selling subscriptions to watch girls die. McIntyre tried to speak, failed. Bruce Merritt. Hedge fund manager. You hunted 6 girls. Kept trophies. They're in your Manhattan penthouse, locked room behind the wine cellar. Miles had gotten all this from Tuan's deep dive hacking. Every disgusting detail. What do you want? Merritt asked, voice shaking. Money? We can pay. You can't pay for what you've done. Then what? Revenge? You kill us, you spend life in prison. Miles smiled without warmth. Who says anyone will find bodies? The lights went out again. Brent had triggered secondary explosives. In the darkness, Miles pulled night vision goggles down. The billionaires were blind, stumbling. He could kill them now, easy shots. But that would be too quick. You like the hunt, Miles said, voice echoing in the dark. Let's make it fair. You've got 30 seconds to run. Then I come for you. And gentlemen, I don't miss. He heard them scatter, crashing through the mansion in blind panic. Miles counted down. 29. 28. Tuan's voice. Miles, what are you doing? What they did to Summer. To all of them. Brother, we got the girls. Mission's complete. Let's go. Not yet. 10. 9. 8. Miles moved through the dark mansion, night vision revealing everything. Bruce Merritt had hidden in a study, under a desk. Miles walked past, letting him hear the footsteps, the terror building. Then he reached under, grabbed Merritt's collar, dragged him out screaming. Please, God, please. Did they beg? Miles asked. The girls you hunted? I didn't kill anyone. I swear I just watched. Complicity is guilt. He left Merritt cable tied to a support beam, conscious but immobile. One down. Donald McIntyre had run to the basement, trying the cells where they'd kept the girls. Miles found him there, sobbing, pulling at locked doors. Looking for a place to hide? Miles asked. McIntyre spun. You don't understand. Cross forced us. We had no choice. You paid $4 million. That's a lot of coercion. It was business. Networking. I never actually. Miles shot him in the leg. McIntyre collapsed, screaming. That's for every girl who died while you streamed it for profit. Another shot, other leg. That's for Summer. He left McIntyre bleeding but alive, moving on. 3 more guests he found scattered through the mansion. One hiding in a wine cellar, another in a panic room that wasn't as secure as advertised, the third trying to swim from the dock until Brent's explosives convinced him otherwise. Miles gathered them all, cable-tied, in the main hall. Keith Montgomery was the last, found hiding in the kitchen's freezer. Miles dragged him out, the man's expensive suit soaked, shivering. You're insane, Montgomery gasped. No, I'm a father. There's a difference. He assembled them all in the hall. 5 terrified billionaires, bleeding, broken. The 6th was still upstairs, unaccounted for. Where's Richard Cross? Miles demanded. Silence. Miles put his rifle to Montgomery's head. I asked a question. His study, Montgomery broke. 3rd floor. He's got a panic room, reinforced. You'll never. Miles knocked him unconscious with the rifle butt. To the others, you're going to tell the world what you did here. Every detail. Every victim. You're going to confess, publicly, completely. And if we don't, McIntyre wheezed through pain. Then I released the evidence Tuan collected. Your names, your crimes, your addresses. To every news outlet, every law enforcement agency, every dark web vigilante group. See how long you survive when the whole world knows you hunt children for sport. He pulled out a camera, set it up. Start talking. Names, dates, victims. Everything. They talked. Broken, terrified men confessing to murders, trafficking, conspiracy. Miles recorded it all. When they finished, he heard sirens in the distance. Tuan, Roman called in an anonymous tip. Coast Guard's incoming. You've got maybe 10 minutes. Miles looked at the broken billionaires. You wanted to be hunters. But real hunters know there's always something higher on the food chain. He left them for the authorities, heading toward the 3rd floor and Richard Cross. Chapter 5, The Architect. The 3rd floor was Cross's private domain. Miles climbed stairs lined with mounted heads, lions, elephants, rhinos. Trophies from legal hunts in Africa. But the study held different trophies. Miles kicked in the door. The room was empty, but the walls told the story. Photographs. 12 girls, faces frozen in terror, mounted like hunting prizes. Summer's photo was there too, fresh, with a blank space next to it for what would have been her final image. Miles tore them down, rage threatening his focus. Touching, isn't it? Richard Cross's voice came from speakers. My gallery of conquests. I must thank you, Mr. Baxter. Your daughter provided exceptional entertainment. Show yourself. I'm watching. Cameras throughout the mansion. I saw what you did downstairs. Quite brutal for a construction worker. I wasn't always in construction. No, I did my research after you announced yourself so dramatically. Miles Baxter, formerly Sergeant First Class, 75th Ranger Regiment. Decorated soldier. Then Black Ops, the kind that don't exist on paper. You disappeared 10 years ago. Divorce, custody battle. Gave up the life to build houses and play daddy. Where are you? Here's what interests me. You and I aren't so different. We're both hunters, both willing to do whatever necessary to achieve our goals. The only difference is honesty. I admit what I am. Miles found the wall panel. The hidden door Cross had escaped through. Reinforced, but Brent had given him thermite for a reason. He placed the charge, stepped back. Cross continued talking. Those men downstairs. Weak. They pretended they were predators, but they're just wealthy cowards playing at danger. You, though? You're the real thing. A warrior. Imagine what we could accomplish together. Not interested in partnering with dead men. The thermite burned through, melting the reinforced steel. Miles kicked the door open, entering a narrow corridor. More photos lined the walls, not just the island victims. Dozens. This had been going on far longer than 18 months. How many? Miles demanded. Does it matter? They were prey. Prey exists to be hunted. It's nature. You're not nature. You're a disease. The corridor opened into a panic room, but Cross wasn't there. Another hidden passage, this one leading outside. Miles followed, emerging onto a rooftop helipad. A helicopter sat ready, rotors beginning to spin. Richard Cross stood beside it, impeccably dressed despite the chaos, holding a satellite phone. I've called an extraction. In 5 minutes, I'll be in international waters. In 10, on a jet to a country without extradition. Your country's laws can't touch me. I'm not my country's laws. Cross smiled. No, you're better. Which is why I'm offering you a choice. Let me leave, and I'll deposit 10 million in an untraceable account. Enough to disappear with Summer, live comfortably. Or you can try to stop me, and likely die in the process. I didn't survive this long by being unprepared. He gestured. From the shadows, 3 figures emerged. Private military contractors, heavily armed, professional. These gentlemen are Spetsnaz, former Russian special forces. They cost me 200,000 each. Worth every penny. Miles assessed the situation. 3 experienced operators, superior position, helicopter providing cover. His rifle was low on ammunition. The Coast Guard was minutes away, but that wouldn't help if he was dead. Cross boarded the helicopter. Tick-tock, Mr. Baxter. Choose. Miles lowered his rifle. Slowly, carefully. The contractors relaxed slightly. Mistake. He keyed his comm. Calvin, you in position? From a quarter-mile away, across the water where Roman's team had set up Overwatch, Calvin's voice came back. Target acquired. The helicopter pilots had exploded. The helicopter lurched, rotors screaming. Cross stumbled back, shocked. Miles brought his rifle up, dropped the first contractor with a headshot. The other 2 dove for cover, returning fire. Bullets sparked off the helipad. Calvin's second shot took out another contractor. Miles flanked, using the helicopter as cover, and caught the third in a crossfire. The man went down. Cross tried to run, but his escape route was gone. Miles grabbed him, slammed him against the helicopter. You wanted a hunt? Miles growled. You've got one. He dragged Cross to the edge of the rooftop. Below, jungle stretched into darkness. The same jungle where Summer had run for her life. I'll give you a sporting chance, Miles said. More than you gave any of them. You've got a 30-second head start. Run. Cross's composure shattered. You can't. This is murder. This is justice. Run, or I throw you off this roof right now. Cross ran, disappearing into the jungle below via a maintenance ladder. Miles counted to 30, then followed. The night vision revealed Cross crashing through undergrowth, panicked, clumsy. Miles tracked him easily, letting him get distance, letting the fear build. This was for Summer. For Autumn, Kelly, Naomi. For the 12 who died. For every victim whose name he'd never know. Cross found a stream, tried to use it to mask his trail. Amateur mistake. Miles followed the disturbed mud, the broken branches. He was close now, could hear Cross's ragged breathing. Please, Cross gasped, hiding behind a fallen tree. Please, I'll confess everything. I'll turn over all the evidence, every name, every. You should have thought of that before you pointed a crossbow at my daughter. Miles pulled him from hiding. Cross fought, desperate, but he was soft, pampered. Miles was hardened from decades of combat and manual labor. It wasn't a contest. He dragged Cross to a clearing, the same clearing where the hunts had started, where Summer had stood, terrified, while these monsters circled. You wanted to be the apex predator, Miles said. But you forgot, there's always something bigger. Cross fell to his knees. I'll pay anything. Anything. You already did. The gunshot echoed through the jungle. Miles stood over the body, feeling nothing. No satisfaction. No relief. Just emptiness. Tuan's voice crackled. Coast Guard's landing. You need to move. Miles looked at Cross's corpse. The architect of this nightmare, reduced to meat. Justice? Maybe. But it wouldn't bring back the dead. He keyed his calm Roman status. Girls are on the boat, safe. Waiting on you. On my way. Miles ran through the jungle, leaving Richard Cross's body for the authorities. Let them piece together what happened. Let the world know what monsters walked among them. He reached the shore as Coast Guard spotlights swept the island. Roman's boat was a quarter-mile out, running dark. Miles swam, pushing hard against the current. Hands pulled him aboard. Summer threw her arms around him, sobbing. I thought you weren't coming back. I promised, didn't I? Roman started the engine, heading into open water. Behind them, the island blazed with emergency lights, helicopters circling. The Coast Guard would find 5 billionaires cable-tied and confessing to murder. They'd find Richard Cross's body and his gallery of horrors. They'd find evidence of 18 months of systematic hunting and killing. But they wouldn't find Miles Baxter or his team. Tuan had already scrubbed their presence from the digital record. The boat was untraceable. By morning, they'd be ghosts again. Summer leaned against Miles, exhausted. What happens now? Now we go home. You finish school. Live your life. And them? She gestured back toward the island. The ones who survived? They'll face justice. The evidence will destroy them. Their wealth, their power, none of it will save them. The world will know what they are. Autumn spoke up from where she huddled with the other girls. Thank you. For coming for us. For not giving up. I'd do it again, Miles said simply. Calvin handed him a sat phone. It's Naomi. Miles took it. It's done. She's safe. His ex-wife's voice broke with relief. Thank God. Thank you, Miles. Bring her home, and we'll talk details. But Mom? She's going to need time. All of them will. I understand. Just get her back to me. We will. The boat cut through dark Caribbean waters, stars overhead, the island shrinking behind them. Miles watched until it disappeared, then turned toward home. The hunt was over. But the healing would take much longer. Chapter 6. Ghosts and Reckoning. Rosendo met them in Martinique, his fishing trawler hidden in a private cove. No questions, no judgment. He'd been paid well for silence. You look like hell, Rosendo said to Miles. Feel worse. They transferred the girls to a safe house Brent had arranged, a villa owned by a retired contractor who owed them favors. Doctor, counselors, security. Everything they needed. Miles sat with Summer while a physician treated her wounds. The crossbow graze, lacerations, dehydration. She'd been through hell, but she was alive. That's what mattered. Dad, she said quietly. What you did back there? Cross, the others. I did what needed to be done. But killing Cross in the jungle, that wasn't combat. That was execution. I know. He met her eyes. I won't apologize for it. He was a monster who'd killed 12 girls and would have killed more. The law couldn't touch him. His money, his connections, he'd have walked. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. So you took justice into your own hands. I took revenge. There's a difference. He squeezed her hand. Summer, I need you to understand something. The man who did that tonight, that's not who I want to be. It's who I was a long time ago. A part of me I thought I'd left behind. But when I saw you on that stream, being hunted, you became something scary. Yeah, and now I have to live with that. But I'd do it again. For you, I'd do anything. She was quiet for a long moment. I don't know how to feel about that. You don't have to know right now. Focus on healing. We'll figure out the rest later. 3 days later, the news broke worldwide. The story was massive. Billionaires exposed as serial killers, a private island used for human hunting, multiple victims identified. The confessions Miles had forced them to record went viral. Combined with Tuan's evidence dump, financial records, communications, video footage, it was airtight. Keith Montgomery committed suicide in custody before trial. Donald McIntyre was sentenced to life without parole. Bruce Merritt and the others faced similar fates. Their empires crumbled, assets seized, legacies destroyed. Richard Cross's death was ruled justified, killed while fleeing arrest by an unknown individual. The investigation into who that individual might be went nowhere. The digital trail was clean. Witnesses saw nothing. The boat never existed. Miles watched the news from his ranch in Arizona, Summer beside him. She'd moved back home temporarily, not ready to return to school. Naomi visited daily, the three of them carefully rebuilding something that resembled a family. 32 victims total, the news anchor reported. Cross's hunting operation stretched back 5 years. Authorities are still identifying remains found on the island. Families are demanding answers. Miles turned it off. He'd given them answers. He'd given them justice. But he couldn't give them back their daughters. Roman stopped by that evening, bringing beer and silence. They sat on the porch, watching the Arizona sunset. "You okay?" Roman finally asked. "No, but I will be. The team's solid. No one's talking, no one will. Tuan scrubbed everything. We're ghosts." "Good. But Miles, what you did out there, that wasn't a tactical decision. That was personal. It was always personal. I know, and I'd have done the same. But you can't carry that darkness alone. It'll eat you alive." Miles sipped his beer. "Summer's seeing a therapist. Maybe I should too. Probably. We all should." Roman stood. "But for what it's worth, you saved 4 lives. Stopped monsters who thought they were untouchable. The world's better off." "Doesn't feel that way." "It will. Give it time." After Roman left, Summer came outside. "Can't sleep." "Nightmares," she admitted. "I keep seeing them. The hunt. Cross with his crossbow. I know. They'll fade eventually." "Will they?" "Dad, I watched you kill a man. I watched you become something terrifying. And the worst part? I'm not horrified. I'm grateful. What does that make me? Human. They hurt you. I hurt them back. That's not complicated. But it should be, shouldn't it? Shouldn't I feel conflicted, disturbed? Instead, I just feel relieved. Like justice was served." Miles pulled her close. "Listen to me. What happened on that island doesn't define you. You survived. You fought. You're stronger than you know. The rest, the moral complexity, the guilt, the questions, we'll work through it. Together. As a family. Promise. Promise." 2 weeks later, Miles received a package. No return address, unmarked. Inside was a USB drive and a note in Tuan's handwriting. "Final cleanup. Destroy after viewing." He plugged it into his laptop. The file contained something Tuan had kept back. The full subscriber list for the hunt. Hundreds of names. Wealthy, powerful people from around the world who'd paid to watch girls die. Also included, evidence of a larger network. Cross wasn't the only one running operations like this. There were others, in different countries, different setups. An entire underground industry of hunting humans for sport. Miles stared at the names, feeling that familiar darkness creeping back. He could expose them all, could hunt each one down, make them pay. But then what? Become a full-time vigilante? Spend his life in the shadows, executing monsters? Summer needed him here. Needed him to be her father, not a killer. He deleted the file, destroyed the USB drive. Some battles weren't his to fight, but he kept one name, one address. A person in Phoenix who'd subscribed to watch Summer's hunt. Local. Close. That one, he'd handle personally. Chapter 7. Unfinished business. 6 weeks after the island, Miles was back to running his construction company. He'd told his crew he'd taken emergency leave for a family matter. They didn't press. The news had reported Summer's rescue from a trafficking ring. Close enough to the truth. Life was returning to something like normal. Summer was back at ASU, seeing a trauma therapist twice weekly. She'd changed majors from marine biology to criminal justice. The experience had changed her, hardened her, given her purpose. Miles tried to move forward, but the name from Tuan's list burned in his mind. Derek Duncan, 56, divorce attorney, lived in a Scottsdale mansion. Wealthy, respected, active in local charities. He'd paid $20,000 to subscribe to The Hunt, specifically requesting notifications when college-aged brunettes were featured. He'd watched Summer run for her life. Had probably enjoyed it. Miles did surveillance for 2 weeks. Duncan's routine was predictable. Office until 6, gym until 7:30, home by 8. Weekends at his country club. No family, few close friends. A man who lived for himself. On a Tuesday night, Miles waited in Duncan's garage. The lawyer pulled in at 8:07, precisely on schedule. Miles stepped from the shadows as Duncan exited his Mercedes. "Jesus," Duncan jumped. "Who the hell are you?" "This is private property." "Derek Duncan." We need to talk. Recognition flickered. I don't know you. Leave, or I'm calling the police. Go ahead. Tell them you subscribe to a website where you watch teenage girls being hunted and murdered. I'm sure they'd love to hear about it. The blood drained from Duncan's face. I don't know what you're talking about. Miles pulled out his phone, showed him screenshots. 20,000 in Bitcoin. 14 streams watched. You specifically requested brunettes under 25. That was shut down. The authorities said. The authorities got the operators. Not the customers. Not yet. Miles stepped closer. You watched my daughter being hunted. Watched her run for her life while a billionaire tried to kill her. Duncan's hands shook. I never hurt anyone. I just watched. You funded it. Your money paid for those girls to be kidnapped and murdered. You're complicit in 13 deaths. Please, I have money. I can pay. I don't want your money. Then what? What do you want? Miles considered. He'd come here planning violence, planning to make Duncan pay the same way Cross had. But looking at this pathetic, frightened man, he felt nothing. No rage, no satisfaction. Just exhaustion. I want you to confess. Every stream you watched, every payment you made. Turn yourself into the FBI. That's insane. I'd go to prison. You should. You're a predator. Maybe not physically, but morally. You get off on women's suffering. I have a career, a reputation. Miles grabbed him by the throat, slammed him against the car. Those girls had lives too. Futures. Families. You helped take that away. He released Duncan, who collapsed, gasping. You have 48 hours to turn yourself in. If you don't, I release everything to the media, the state bar, every client you've ever represented. Your face will be on every news channel as the man who paid to watch college girls die. You can't prove. I have your payment records, your viewing history, your IP address. Twan Whitehead is a very talented hacker. He can prove everything. Duncan's face crumbled. My life will be over. It should be. Those girls don't get second chances. Why should you? Miles left him there, sobbing in his garage. He didn't know if Duncan would turn himself in. Didn't particularly care. The evidence would destroy him either way. But he felt no victory. Just emptiness. Summer was waiting when he got home. Where were you? No point lying. Closing a loose end. The subscriber in Phoenix. How did you? I know you, Dad. You couldn't let it go. She sat beside him. Did you hurt him? No. Scared him. Gave him a chance to do the right thing. And if he doesn't? Then Twan ruins him digitally. No violence necessary. She studied his face. You're different now? Quieter. Like you're carrying something heavy. I am. What I did on that island. Killing Cross, hunting those men. I can justify it logically. They were monsters who deserved to die. But it still changed me. Made me remember who I used to be. The soldier. The killer. There's a difference. Soldiers follow rules of engagement, laws of war. What I did was execution. Revenge. And part of me enjoyed it. That's what scares me. Summer took his hand. You're not a monster, Dad. Monsters don't question their actions. They don't feel guilt. I'm not sure I do feel guilty. That's the problem. Then feel grateful. You saved me. Saved Autumn, Kelly, Naomi. Stopped Cross from hurting anyone else. The world's better because of what you did. But I'm worse because of it. No. You're just aware of your capacity for violence. Most people never face that in themselves. You did, and you're still choosing to be good. That's what matters. Miles pulled her close. When did you get so wise? Survival matures you fast. They sat in silence, father and daughter, both changed by what they'd endured. The doorbell rang. Miles tensed, old instincts. But it was just Naomi, bringing dinner. Thought you two could use a home-cooked meal, she said, carrying casserole dishes. They ate together, the three of them, talking carefully around the trauma. It felt almost normal. A broken family finding new patterns. After Naomi left, Summer brought up school. I'm thinking of taking a semester off. Maybe travel, clear my head. Where? Anywhere that's not here. Europe maybe. Or South America. Somewhere I can forget, at least for a while. Running won't fix it. I know. But maybe distance will help. She met his eyes. Dad, every time I'm on campus, I see that SUV. That man. I remember being grabbed, drugged, waking up in that cell. I need space from the memories. Miles understood. If that's what you need, I'll support it. But Summer? The memories come with you. Geography won't change that. Maybe not. But it's worth trying. 2 days later, Derek Duncan walked into the Phoenix FBI office and confessed everything. The news broke that evening. Another subscriber exposed, the investigation widening. Duncan's career imploded overnight. His law firm fired him, clients fled, the state bar initiated disbarment proceedings. Miles watched the news with grim satisfaction. Not violence, but justice. Duncan would face consequences, legal and social. Sometimes that was enough. Tuan called that night. Duncan, singing like a canary, gave the FBI names of other subscribers he knew about. This thing's going to keep unraveling. Good. Let it. You did the right thing, not killing him. Showed restraint. Didn't feel like restraint. Felt like exhaustion. That's called growth, brother. You're not the same person who landed on that island. I'm not sure that's a good thing. It is. Trust me. After hanging up, Miles walked outside. The Arizona night was clear, stars brilliant overhead. He thought about Richard Cross, dying in that jungle. About the billionaires broken and imprisoned. About Duncan, facing ruin. Justice, but at what cost? His phone rang. Roman, turn on CNN. Miles did. Breaking news, a second island discovered, this one off the coast of Malaysia. Another hunting operation, linked to Cross's network. Authorities had rescued 5 girls, arrested 4 men. It's spreading, Roman said. Your actions on that island. They exposed the whole network. Law enforcement worldwide is mobilizing. This thing's bigger than we thought. How many more islands? Tuan's found evidence of at least 6. Different organizers, but same business model. Hunt humans for wealthy clients. Miles felt sick. We barely scratched the surface. Maybe, but you started something. Other victims are coming forward. Subscriber lists are being exposed. The whole operation's collapsing. It's not enough. It never is. But it's something. You saved your daughter. Stopped Cross. Exposed a network. That matters. Did it? Miles wasn't sure anymore. The world was full of monsters. Stopping a few didn't change that fundamental truth. But maybe that was the point. You stopped the ones you could reach. You saved the people in front of you. You did what was possible, not what was perfect. Summer appeared in the doorway. You okay? Yeah. Just thinking. About whether what we did mattered. She sat beside him. It mattered to me. To Autumn, Kelly, Naomi. To the 5 girls they just rescued in Malaysia. It mattered to all of us. But there are more. More islands. More victims. More monsters. So we find them. Expose them. Save who we can. She smiled, fierce and determined. I've been thinking. After I travel, clear my head, I want to help. Not just as a victim, but actively. Work with law enforcement, victim advocacy, whatever it takes. Use my experience to stop this from happening to others. Miles saw it then. His daughter transformed from prey to hunter, but the right kind. One who fought with justice, not revenge. That's a good path, he said. I learned from the best. She squeezed his hand. You showed me that monsters can be stopped. That ordinary people, fathers, soldiers, survivors, can make a difference. Now I want to do the same. Maybe that was the real victory. Not revenge, not violence, but transformation. Taking trauma and turning it into purpose. Miles looked at the stars, feeling something like peace settle over him. The hunt was over, but the work was just beginning. Chapter 8. Shadows and Light. 3 months after the island, Miles received a call from Special Agent Marsha Roberts. Mr. Baxter, I need to speak with you. Officially. His stomach tightened. They'd been so careful, left no evidence. But maybe something had surfaced. About what? About Summer's rescue. And what happened on that island. I told you everything I know. She was taken. Authorities rescued her from a trafficking ring. We both know that's not the full story. Coast Guard found Richard Cross's body with a 9mm hollow point in his skull. Same ammunition your military records show you're trained with. 5 billionaires were found cable-tied, confessing to murders. Someone orchestrated that. Someone with specialized skills. I'm a construction contractor. Your former 75th Rangers and classified special operations. The kind of man who could infiltrate a secured island, neutralize professional security, and execute a precision extraction. Miles said nothing. Roberts continued. Here's the thing, I don't care. Cross and his friends were monsters. They killed 32 girls that we know of. Someone stopped them. As far as I'm concerned, that someone deserves a medal, not an investigation. Then why are we talking? Because there's a problem. Cross's network. We've identified 6 additional operations worldwide. Malaysia, Thailand, Brazil, South Africa. All shut down, all following the same pattern. Someone's systematically destroying these hunting rings. Good. Agreed. But some of these operations are protected by powerful people. Organized crime, corrupt officials, wealthy elites. Taking them down isn't as simple as a midnight raid. What are you asking me? I'm asking if the person who saved Summer, hypothetically, would be interested in continuing that work in a more official capacity. Miles was quiet. The FBI doesn't hire vigilantes. No, but we do hire consultants with unique skill sets. Special Victims Unit, Human Trafficking Task Force. We need people who understand how predators think, who can operate in gray areas. I have a business, a daughter who needs me. I know, and I'm not asking for full time. Just, when we find these operations, someone who can advise on tactical approaches. Someone who's been inside, knows how they work. Miles considered. It was tempting, channeling that darkness into something constructive, legal. But could he trust himself? Once he started hunting again, would he stop? Would he cross lines the FBI couldn't condone? I need to think about it. Fair. But Mr. Baxter? These operations continue. Every month, more girls disappear. We're finding evidence of new rings forming, learning from Cross's mistakes. Someone needs to stop them. After she left, Miles called the team. They met at his ranch. Roman, Calvin, Brent, Twan via video call. FBI wants us to go legitimate, Miles explained. Consulting on Human Trafficking Task Force. Roman whistled. That's a hell of a career change. Is it? We'd be doing the same thing, just with legal authority. And legal restrictions, Brent pointed out. No more thermite and white phosphorus. No more executions in the jungle. Maybe that's a good thing, Calvin said quietly. What we did on that island, it was necessary. But it wasn't sustainable. Keep operating outside the law. Eventually we get caught or become what we're fighting. Twan's voice crackled through speakers. I've been tracking the new operations. They're getting smarter, more encrypted, harder to find. FBI resources would help. Legal access to surveillance, international cooperation. So we're seriously considering this? Miles asked. Roman leaned back. I'm getting too old for midnight swims and jungle warfare. Working with the feds? Still get to hunt bad guys, but with backup and a paycheck. I'm in. Calvin. The sniper nodded. Someone needs to stop these people. Might as well be us. Brent. Hell, why not? I'm bored anyway. Twan. I need immunity for previous activities. But yeah, I'm in. Miles looked at his team, brothers who'd followed him into hell and back. Going legitimate meant oversight, restrictions, rules of engagement. But it also meant sustainability, resources, and the possibility of actually winning this fight long-term. Okay, I'll call Roberts. But we have conditions. We operate as a unit. No splitting us up. And if we find another cross, someone untouchable by conventional means, we handle it our way. Pretty sure the FBI won't agree to that last part, Roman said. Then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The meeting with FBI brass took place in Quantico. Miles and his team faced a panel of agents and prosecutors, laying out their conditions. You want operational autonomy, tactical discretion, and immunity for past actions? The assistant director asked, skeptical. That's asking a lot. It's worth it, Roberts argued. These men stopped Richard Cross. They have skills and experience our agents don't. Human trafficking cases have an abysmal solve rate. We need unconventional approaches. And if they cross lines? If they commit crimes while under our umbrella? Miles spoke up. We're not asking for carte blanche. We'll follow your rules, work within the system. But these operations are run by people who've corrupted that system. Sometimes you need operators who understand both sides, law and lawlessness. The assistant director studied them. Former soldiers, hardened, capable, dangerous, but focused. If we agree to this arrangement, you're subject to oversight. Regular reports, psychological evaluations, legal review of operations. Any violations, and you're done. Possibly prosecuted. Understood. And past activities? I suspect you gentlemen have done things that would interest various law enforcement agencies. Roberts intervened. Whatever happened on that island, it resulted in the rescue of 4 victims and the exposure of a massive criminal network. I recommend we focus forward, not backward. After deliberation, they agreed. Task Force designation, Shadow Hunters. Official mandate, consult on high-priority human trafficking cases involving organized criminal networks. Unofficial mandate, Do what conventional law enforcement couldn't. Walking out, Roman clapped Miles on the shoulder. We just became government contractors. Never thought I'd see the day. It's not about the title. It's about stopping more islands from existing. Agreed. But man, the paperwork's going to be a nightmare. Their first official case came 2 weeks later. A trafficking network in Thailand, suspected of running hunting expeditions similar to Cross's operation. Intelligence suggested ties to organized crime and corrupt military officials. Local authorities are compromised, Roberts briefed. We need to go in dark, gather evidence, extract victims. It's essentially what you did before, but now you have diplomatic cover and agency resources. Miles studied the intel package. Remote jungle facility, 12 victims confirmed, heavily armed security. Similar to the island, but on land, which meant different tactical considerations. We'll need local assets, Roman said. Someone who knows the terrain, can navigate local politics. Roberts provided a contact, Jamal Farrell, former British SAS, now operating private security in Southeast Asia. He's worked with us before. Reliable. They deployed to Bangkok, met Farrell, a lean, scarred man in his 40s who spoke Thai fluently and operated in the region's gray areas. The facility's run by Lindsay Welch, Farrell briefed. Australian national, former military contractor gone bad. He's protected by local warlord, gets a cut of the profits. You go in loud. You'll have the entire district on your head. So we go quiet, Calvin said. Except the victims are being moved in 48 hours. After that, they disappear into the network. We've got one window. Miles made the call. We infiltrate tonight. Extract the victims. Gather evidence against Welch and his network. Then we let the Thai government shut down the facility with the evidence we provide. And if Welch resists, then we handle it. But we try to take him alive. FBI wants prosecutions, not body counts. The operation went smoothly at first. They inserted via helicopter, fast-roped into jungle, hiked to the facility. 12 guards, predictable patrols, outdated security. They neutralized sentries silently, breached the holding area. 12 girls, ages 16 to 22, from various countries. Malnourished, terrified, but alive. Then it went sideways. Lindsay Welch had installed silent alarms they hadn't detected. Backup poured in, not just guards, but military-grade reinforcements. The warlord's men. We've got 60 hostiles incoming. Tuan reported via satellite. You're outnumbered 10 to 1. Get the girls to the extraction point, Miles ordered Calvin and Brent. Roman and I will delay. That's suicide, Roman said. It's the mission. Move. Calvin and Brent led the girls into the jungle. Miles and Roman set up a defensive position, using the facility's fortifications. Welch's forces advanced, confident in their numbers. They didn't expect what hit them. Miles and Roman had fought together for 15 years. They moved like one organism, each anticipating the other's actions. Suppressing fire, grenades, tactical retreats. They turned the facility into a killing field. But it wasn't enough. They were being overwhelmed. Then an unexpected sound, helicopter gunships. Roberts' voice crackled over comms. We got authorization for air support. Hang tight. The Thai military, coordinated with FBI legal attaches, descended on the facility. Welch's forces scattered. The warlord, facing international pressure, cut ties and ran. Lindsay Welch tried to escape, but ran straight into Miles. We can do this easy or hard, Miles said, weapon raised. Welch chose hard, going for his gun. Miles shot him in the shoulder, dropped him. I said we wanted you alive. Didn't say in what condition. They extracted with all 12 victims, Welch in custody, and evidence that would dismantle the entire network. On the flight back, Roberts congratulated them. Textbook operation. This is how it should work. Intelligence, coordination, legal authority. Miles nodded, but he felt the difference. On Cross's Island, he'd been free to operate without restraint, to kill those who deserved it. Now he had to show restraint, follow protocols, bring people in alive for prosecution. It felt both limiting and necessary. We saved 12 lives today, Roman said, reading his thoughts. That's what counts. And tomorrow? How many more islands exist? How many more Welches? We find them, one at a time. We build cases, make arrests, save who we can. It's not perfect, but it's sustainable. Miles looked at the rescued girls, wrapped in blankets, receiving medical care. They'd go home, get therapy, rebuild their lives. That was the goal. Not revenge, but recovery. Maybe this was the better path after all. Chapter 9, Home. 8 months after the island, Miles stood in the audience at Arizona State University's winter ceremony. Summer was graduating early, having pushed through her remaining credits with fierce determination. She wore her cap and gown, face composed, but eyes bright. When they called her name, Summer Baxter, Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice, summa cum laude, Miles cheered louder than anyone. Naomi beside him, gripping his hand, both of them crying. Their daughter had survived. More than survived, she'd transformed trauma into purpose. After the ceremony, Summer introduced them to her internship supervisor from the FBI's Victim Services Division. Summer's been instrumental in developing our survivor outreach program, the woman said. She has a gift for connecting with victims, helping them navigate the system. She's always been strong, Naomi said proudly. Later, at the celebration dinner, Summer pulled Miles aside. I got accepted to the FBI Academy. Start training in 6 weeks. That's incredible, sweetheart. I know it's fast. Most people need more time to process trauma. But I found my calling. Those girls we saved, they need advocates who understand, who've been through it. Miles thought about his own journey, from soldier to contractor to father to hunter and finally, to consultant working within the system. Trauma changed people. The question was whether it destroyed or refined them. Your mother and I support whatever you choose. I want to work with your task force eventually. Shadow hunters. Hunt the people who create these operations. It's dangerous work. So was running through that jungle. But I survived. And now I want to make sure others don't have to. She paused. Dad, what you did, saving me, stopping Cross. It showed me that one person can make a difference. I want to be that person for someone else. Miles hugged her tight. You already are. 2 weeks later, Miles and his team gathered at the ranch for their quarterly briefing. Shadow hunters had dismantled 4 trafficking networks in 8 months, rescued 47 victims, arrested 36 perpetrators. The success rate was unprecedented. Malaysian operations shutting down, Tuan reported. We got the last 2 organizers in custody. That whole network's finished. Thailand's cooperating on the Welch prosecutions, Roberts added via video call. His trial starts next month. We expect convictions, 20+ years. Brazil's still problematic, Brent said. Local authorities are stalling. Suspect corruption goes higher than we thought. Then we build the case until it's so airtight they can't ignore it, Miles said. This is long game work now, not surgical strikes. Calvin stretched. Anyone else find this weird? We used to blow up facilities and shoot bad guys. Now we're filling out forms and testifying in court. We're still shooting bad guys, Roman pointed out. Just less of them, and usually in self-defense with legal authority. I kind of miss the old way. The old way got results, but it wasn't sustainable, Miles said. This, working within the system, building cases, saving lives, this is how we win long-term. After the meeting, Miles sat on his porch, watching the sunset. His construction business was doing well, managed by a crew he trusted. His relationship with Naomi had evolved into genuine friendship. Both of them focused on supporting Summer. His team was saving lives. Life had found a new equilibrium. His phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Baxter? My name is Kelly Pollard. You saved me from the island. Miles remembered her, one of the 3 girls held with Summer. Kelly, how are you doing? Better. Therapy helps. I wanted to thank you. What you did, coming for us when no one else would, it gave me hope. Showed me there are good people. You don't have to thank me. I do. And I wanted you to know, I'm starting college next semester. Psychology. I want to help other survivors, the way the therapists helped me. After hanging up, Miles thought about ripple effects. Saving Summer had saved others. Those survivors were now helping more people. One action, expanding outward, creating waves of change. Maybe that was the real victory. Not the violence, not the revenge, but the lives saved and transformed. Summer called that evening. First day of academy tomorrow. I'm terrified. You'll do great. I keep thinking about the island. About what you did. How you became something dark to save me. And I want to be strong like that, but I don't want to become that darkness. I want to stop monsters without becoming one myself. Miles considered. I walked that line. Crossed it sometimes. But I had something that kept me grounded, you. My purpose wasn't revenge, it was protecting you. As long as you remember why you're fighting, You won't lose yourself. That's good advice. I've learned a lot in 8 months. After they hung up, Miles reflected on the journey. From the moment he'd seen Summer on that live stream to now, it had been hell. Violence, darkness, moral compromises. But it had also been transformation. From broken divorced dad to something more. A protector, a hunter of hunters, a father who'd walk through fire for his daughter. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Epilogue. 1 year after the island, Miles received an invitation to speak at a survivors conference. He declined. This wasn't his story to tell. But he attended as audience, watching Summer give the keynote. My name is Summer Baxter, she began. 13 months ago, I was kidnapped and hunted for sport on a private island. 12 girls before me died. I survived because my father refused to give up. She told the story, sanitized, focused on resilience and recovery rather than revenge. She didn't mention Miles executing Cross, the violence, the darkness. Just that he'd come for her when hope was gone. What I learned, Summer concluded, is that survivors aren't weak. We're warriors. We endured what others can't imagine and came out the other side. And now we have a choice. Let trauma define us, or use it to help others. I choose the latter. I choose to fight back, not with violence, but with justice, advocacy, and compassion. The audience stood, applauding. Miles watched his daughter, brilliant, fierce, unbroken, and felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Pride without darkness. Hope without reservation. She'd taken the worst experience of her life and forged it into purpose. That was the real victory. After the speech, they walked together through Phoenix streets. You never told them what really happened, Miles said. They don't need to know. The important part is we survived. We fought back. We won. Did we? Cross is dead. His network's dismantled, but there are still monsters out there. And we're still fighting them. Your task force, my work with victims, all of us refusing to let evil win. That's victory. Not perfect, not complete, but real. Miles smiled. When did you get so wise? I learned from the best. They reached her car. Summer paused. Dad, thank you. For everything. For saving me. For showing me strength doesn't mean cruelty. For being proof that good people can do hard things and remain good. I'm not sure I remained good. You did. Because you still question, still care, still choose compassion when you can. The darkness didn't consume you. After she left, Miles drove home, thinking about redemption and transformation. He'd killed on that island, had hunted men and executed them. Those actions would always be part of him, but they didn't have to define him. The real measure wasn't the darkness he'd embraced, but what he'd done with it afterward. He'd channeled that capacity for violence into protection, that rage into justice, that need for revenge into a mission that saved lives. Summer was right. They'd won. Not perfectly, not completely, but genuinely. The hunters had been hunted. The prey had survived. And in the aftermath, broken people had rebuilt themselves into something stronger. That was victory enough. Miles pulled into his driveway, looked at his modest ranch house, and felt at peace. Tomorrow, he'd go back to work, building houses, consulting on cases, fighting monsters in whatever way he could. But tonight, he was just a father whose daughter had survived. And that was everything. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.